Welcome back to the kickoff, and Chelsea are a very young and exciting team, some might say. What do you reckon, Josh? Is the title chase on for you lot?
Yeah, every Chelsea fan now is just saying that the title's absolutely on, and we're getting gassed. And you know what? We're going along with it because we haven't had a lot of success in the last few years. And so we're just going to enjoy the moment in the sun. We've got probably one of the hardest runs that you could have in the Premier League coming up. So ultimately, we're going to understand how good we really are if we can beat, you know, teams like Villa and Liverpool and that sort of thing. But if we can get results in there, then absolutely, you've got to say we're in the title race. I'm feeling very positive. I'm sure you guys think we're absolutely brilliant as well.
No, to be honest, I am impressed with you going for at the back. There was some worrying signs against Brighton, especially the goalkeeper. Right, he's fucking terrifying.
Oh yeah, Robert Sanchez is definitely the backup goalkeeper for Brighton. I can understand that. He gave them 2 goals. He thought he was still playing for Brighton.
He was like, this is too easy. Luckily, Cole Palmer was on hand. Now we've witnessed this lad be gift wrapped from Pep Guardiola as surplus to requirements, right? And when that happens, when Pep Guardiola lets a player go, you're like, yeah, he's you know, you paid a fair amount of money for him, but how good can he be if Pep Guardiola let him go? Well, pretty fucking amazing. This is one of the most amazing things I can remember. Like, in terms of when we look back in history from attacking midfielders, you look at the goal tallies and the assist tallies from the likes of, you know, Mo Salah, who plays on the wing, or you know, even he's been compared to Dennis Bergkamp or Gareth Bale, who had all those goals. Like, you know, the goals he's putting in for an English lad, especially, he's unbelievable. And actually, how good can he be as well? Because he's only a kid. What the fuck are we witnessing here, lads? 22
years old, already a Premier League, you know, young player of the season. You know, he's got more Premier League hat-tricks now than Cristiano Ronaldo, which when I saw that stat, I just absolutely, I couldn't believe it, you know. And obviously Ronaldo was only in the Premier League for so long, but to get that at that level, we're talking about, you know, a world-class level player now. You have to just admit that, like, the goal contributions alone, like, I'm looking at it now, what is it? It's 43 goal contributions, you know, since the beginning of last season. The numbers are just like, they're season defining. You know, they are complete game changers. And look, last season you could
got more than Haaland, right?
Yeah, more than Haaland.
Mate.
Ridiculous. And better
More
goal conversion stats. Better goal conversion stats than Haaland, and more chances created than Haaland and Mbappe. Like we're just talking about an unbelievable
Can we just say
level
one thing?
Of player.
Gareth Southgate did not start this fucker. Gareth Southgate did not start him or Anthony Gordon. It's just, I was begging for him to start games, but look, we are talking about world class there. That's not debatable now. When you're outperforming the 2 most expensive players in world football, whether they're, you know, official on the record or not, and he's only 22 years old. And really, it would be criminal for Chelsea not to challenge. You know, it's up to you lads now, with all the money you spend, really, to have a team built around him to deliver a title challenge, because
Chelsea are not. I'm squashing this right now. Chelsea are not. Let me know. This is not happening. Not with that back 4. Fofana, Colwell. No. Yes, going forward, there's a lot of attacking talent. They're exciting right now. They're playing great football. I'm a bit scared. I think a lot of people are. No one wants to really admit it. They're cooking. They're definitely chefing up over there. But that back 4, to me, is not a title winning back 4. You can't convince me they can win the title with that back 4. You need to have a great attack and a great defense.
You would love Mark Cucurella.
Over Udogie? No, I wouldn't. Mate,
you would love him. He's just won a Euros, mate.
I don't care what he's won. I'm not having him over Udogie. I'm not.
Over Cucurella.
Over Pedro either. So what are we talking about? And then our centre-backs, Romero and Van der Ven, I'm not having your centre-backs over ours. And we leak goals as well. So you lot are not winning anything. This is just a great moment.
You mentioned the Euros. Just one thing. Present company, I'm interested to know what Jacob thinks of this, because Cole Palmer obviously didn't start in the Euros, as I've said. Saka, Foden, Bellingham, they all did. Where is Cole Palmer now, really, in that list? Is he above Saka?
Rather than talking about the list, can we talk about where he is on the pitch? Right?
Don't change the subject, Jacob. Don't change the subject. Just answer his question. Just answer his question really simply. Yes or no?
Saka, then Palmer, then Foden.
No.
If we're talking about right wingers, if you're talking about a player to sit on a touchline, to go up and down a touchline, to deliver crosses, to corner kicks.
Okay, I'll rephrase it. Just, you know, one player that you could have in your team out of those three, Foden, Saka, and Palmer. Who do you choose?
I'm taking Palmer.
Because it feels like Palmer right now is the star boy.
I'm taking Palmer
over Maddison, mate. You love Maddison.
I'm taking Cole Palmer, man. I'm taking Cole Palmer. But you know what? Can I just say something? I genuinely still believe out of the three of them, I still think Foden is the best footballer out of the three of them. I'm not going to lie. And
what are you basing that on, though? Like
Foden.
Do you know where Foden is?
Hold on.
Do you know where Foden is? On the fucking bench, mate. He didn't even start against Newcastle. He can't even get a start.
Yeah, but listen, the season is really early in the season. First of all, it's really early in the season. It is really early in the season. There's a lot of football to be played at Man City.
But hold on. About Foden and not getting game time under Pep? There's always a problem.
Who won Player of the Season last year?
Which was a robbery.
Who won? No, don't do that. Can we just deal with the facts?
Foden.
I'd love to look at. Do you know what, Craig? I'm really glad you brought up the facts. I'm really glad you brought up the facts. How many goals did he score? How many goals did he score?
Josh,
how many assists did he get?
Did he win the Premier League last year? Did he win the treble the year before? You're talking about players.
What we're doing is, Craig, you're putting a knife over your eyes and you're going, let me name a City player. Like, you're literally going, City won the treble. So let's just,
because one of them is going to be contributing.
It could be Rodri, it could be Haaland. No, let's just go for Foden.
He won Player of the Year.
Foden is cool.
He won Player of the Year last year. So clearly, his peers, forget what you think or what I think, his peers voted him Player of the Year. They vote that, alright? So the professionals that play in that league, you said it's not justified. They voted for him. That's the first thing. Second of all, this guy has like 6 Premier League titles at the age of 24. He has a treble under his belt. He has about 5 Carabao Cups. He has like 2 FA Cups. What the fuck does Cole Palmer and Saka have? Please tell me what they have.
Craig,
what do they have? Some of those trophies, by the way.
How many medals has Scott Carson got, by the way? Because I reckon he might be better.
Because I've already said Foden contributes to this Man City team. No, but I said he contributes. You're picking people that don't contribute the way Foden does. That's why I said I have to let you lot know. You can't be disrespectful.
What you could argue about Cole Palmer is in a team that isn't as cohesive and isn't anywhere near as good, is actually delivering more than Phil Foden, which you could argue it's harder to do. And I do think that there was a bit of a Foden loving, and rightly so, because he had a fucking great season. But we kind of thought that was his season where he'd finally matured and that he'd really took the mantle as City's main man, only to start this season on the bench against Newcastle. Whereas Cole Palmer, I'll just finish my sentence. Cole Palmer, who left Man City because he wanted to go out on loan, Pep Guardiola says, you're either sitting on the bench and you're doing as he told you, you can fuck off. And he said, oh, fuck you then. And what I feel like is Cole Palmer is moving ahead of these players in terms of his development already, and actually is showing he's showing individuality that Phil Foden has struggled a little bit with in his career. I don't think Saka has as much because he's sort of been the main man for Arsenal, and Foden really felt like the main man last season, but again, a step backwards this season at the start of it. Maybe he's carrying a knock. I don't think so, because he came on, and he didn't do anything.
Can I say something though? Because I feel like as football fans, we do tend to have goldfish memories, recency bias is a thing. Man City were locked neck and neck with Arsenal last season for the Premier League title. It went down to the last day of the season, and who showed up and knocked a goal in from the car park, from outside the box, then scored another one. We all saw it. Everyone had their tongues in Foden's arse after that game. They were like, he's done it. He showed up. It's important. He's won them the Premier League. Are we forgetting this? Or I don't know. Do we remember this? Because I remember it clearly.
He was amazing. He was amazing.
Incredible. He went insane and basically solidified them winning the Premier League on that last day of the season, so that whatever Arsenal did over there was irrelevant. Foden did that, and everyone was talking up about him. Then he had a bad Euros. Granted, he didn't have the greatest Euros. He did have a bad Euros, and Stinker did score in the final, and everyone was hitting the celebration.
Showed him how it was done, really, with minimal time, with minimal game time. Cole Palmer, every time his feet touched that blades of grass, he showed more than Phil Foden every time.
Until Palmer and Saka as well, especially Saka, because he's battled for a league title too. Look at my finger, 2 years in a row. Until these guys translate these things into medals, I don't want to hear them next to Foden.
Is that not unfortunate though, that Cole Palmer doesn't have that level of players around him? Because if he
you don't have that level of players around him, just some of the best. They've bought up everyone.
They got every player around
They
him.
brought up everyone.
Let's be real. They're treble winners though, and they're treble winners in a way that they didn't even need to start Phil Foden in every game. You know, that's the plethora of ability. And are we not thinking right now that Pep Guardiola, if he was to stay long term, he would be thinking, what the fuck have I done? Kevin De Bruyne is coming to the end of his career. I've got the perfect replacement for him, and I've gift wrapped him and handed him over to Chelsea for not a lot of money when you look at the ability of the lad.
Pep don't care. Listen, let me tell you why Pep don't care. Pep sold him. Well, let me just say he sold him. Still went and won the league, right? This season, Man City will finish above Chelsea. I'll put everything on it. They finish above Chelsea this year, right?
Can
by the time he leaves, hold on, by the time he leaves,
then
he's not around no more. Pep's gonna leave and Cole Palmer can go and do what he wants. As long as Pep was there, he still won things. That's what he can rely on.
Can I just say seriously on this? Because we're being tribal and we're being silly, right? Everyone rates Foden here. Everyone rates Palmer here. Everyone rates Saka here. The one thing I will say about Palmer, and by the way, he's fucking ridiculous. And I actually love that he's gone somewhere to be the main man and he's not in this Guardiola rotation thing. He's not having to we saw, look what happened to Jack Grealish. Is Jack Grealish not a fairly similar player to Palmer? Pre-going to City, Jack Grealish was exciting. We were watching Jack Grealish on Match of the Day, kind of similar to the way we're watching Palmer now. He's gone to Man City. He's very disciplined. He presses off the ball. And I think it's fun watching a player like Palmer not do that stuff. The question I would have about Palmer, let's be very honest about what Chelsea are right now. They're I think you're in the Europa Conference League. Is that correct, Josh? Or are you Europa League?
We are, unfortunately, because of Man United, in the Conference League. Just to confirm that.
Don't blame Man United, League. Right? You're a Conference League team.
We qualified for the Europa League, but Man United beat a pissed up Man City team. Yeah, so now we're in the Conference League. On Thursdays,
you go and play at stadiums that have got little train tracks around the pitch. So
Cole Palmer's not in the squad, mate, so he doesn't need to worry about it.
The point I'm making is that what both Foden and Saka show, the reason that they are at two of the top clubs in Europe, is they can be the main man sometimes, but then they can play second fiddle when they have to. They press off the ball. They fall back into a structure. They hold width when they have to. They create assists as well. Palmer, don't get me wrong, as main man, he's the fucking bollocks. There is no one like him in the Premier League right now. I think it takes a very special kind of player to be able to do that, which, as you're rightly saying, Craig, Foden has done, Saka has done, but to also know when to hold your position, when to press off the ball, when to give a defensive game. And that, I'm not saying Palmer can't do that. I don't think he's shown he can do that yet. And for me, that's the reason why, as amazing as Palmer is, I think we've seen Saka and Foden do what Palmer's done. And I think they've shown that they can also do the big boy stuff.
Okay. I think you've probably nailed as to why Gareth Southgate chose the other two lads over him. Which
that's mad to say though.
It is frustrating
actually watching him. It's mad. Like he is one of the best pressers that we have at Chelsea, and I think under several managers they've honestly. Last season, Mauricio Pochettino, who is known for drilling his team into pressing very high and being very aggressive, Cole Palmer was the linchpin of that press. He was moved centrally in the inside right position and he was pressing up in several games. So I know your point, but in practice, like watching Chelsea, that's just not true.
Have we seen the end though of Cole Palmer as a right winger, and are we now looking at him as the second striker, almost like a Teddy Sheringham position from back in the day, but even better footballer than he was, which is saying something. And also, I do want to ask you, Josh, Jadon Sancho, what has he been like since signing?
It's really interesting. It's funny. You guys will laugh. I took a Man United fan with me to the Chelsea game and I was sitting alongside. So I got some running commentary of how good Jadon Sancho actually was. First of all, he couldn't believe that it was actually him. He thought it'd been another person that we'd brought, and didn't realize it was actually Jadon Sancho because he was playing completely differently. But yeah, Jadon Sancho, he's come in. And I think what Maresca really wants his wingers to be is sort of hugging the wings and really taking people on 1v1. And ultimately, that's what Jadon Sancho is really good at. He doesn't necessarily want to be running in behind. He wants to take him on, beat him 1-for-1, either get a shot away or make a pass. And you know what? Sancho's been doing just simple things. Like he just does a reverse ball really, really well. He did that to Cucurella in the Bournemouth game, and Cucurella did a wonderful cross, which should have been a goal. And then obviously he comes on and gets the assist for Nkunku as well. So ultimately 3 games, 3 assists for Sancho. It's brilliant. But I have to say it does come down to the system point, and this comes into your other point around Cole Palmer. I said it from day one. Cole Palmer is a central player. He doesn't have the pace to be able to beat players around the outside, and he also wants to cut inside constantly and shoot on his left foot because that's where he's strongest. And really, Maresca's system, this is why he was brought in. It fits all of these players. Like, we've bought players to fit into like a Maresca style system, and what he's done with Sancho and what he's done with Palmer is ultimately put them in the best positions. And this is why people like Noni Madueke are flourishing as well. I don't think Noni Madueke in a Man United formation or even some other teams would flourish as much, because ultimately all he has to do for Chelsea is hug the wing and beat a player, get a shot away or get a pass away. It's a very simple job.
The thing that you struggled with a lot last season, in our opinion, I remember me and Jacob raising this midfield issue, Caicedo and Enzo. Has there been an improvement there? Because Enzo looked fucking shite last season. I actually think Caicedo was pretty good, but what's the change?
Yeah, I think, look, when you're playing a two-man midfield, both of them need to be relatively defensive in that they're both pivots. And Enzo just simply doesn't want to play that role. Enzo wants to be pushing up and basically being a number 10, and getting goals and assists. I think he's having to learn to be more defensive, and he'll get there. But ultimately, there's still, amongst Chelsea fans, there's still a lot of question marks about Enzo. A lot of people are really pissed off that he's got the captaincy, for example, especially after what went on in the summer. Like, it seems a bit weird that he's the captain of Chelsea. But I have to say, together, they're being all right. And at the end of last season, I don't think I would have said that, because ultimately when they played together, that was where we saw a lot of our issues. And actually a lot of people were saying they want Lavia and Caicedo to be the two anyway.
Yeah,
but Caicedo,
Josh.
Yeah, Caicedo, honestly, I think, we were talking at the middle of last season. I don't want to call out Craig particularly, because I don't think it was you, Craig, but if it was, you should be ashamed of yourself, hanging out for shame, saying he was the flop of the season. Craig, was it you? Are we going to have a little moment now?
Yeah. I said,
because that was a joke, Craig.
We were having discussions about who were the worst signings of the summer. I didn't call him the flop.
You said he should be in the conversation.
He was in the conversation at the time.
Joke.
Was at the time he was, though.
I think Kai Havertz got a shout as well from Craig. Kai Havertz got a shout from you as well, Craig. I remember.
No, that was Josh.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. He still is a flop.
I've seen Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank do a bit of analysis on young Jackson, saying that if he reaches his full potential, he'll be a £150 million player. I love Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank, but I'm not sure about that. No. However, he's having an exciting start of the season. He is providing a little bit of like chaos up there for Cole Palmer to sort of reap the benefits of with his pace. There was that moment where he goes through on goal. He just sort of looks at the keeper and he's like, well, what do I do now? And you can see he just
fell over.
He just shot himself. And he just,
that assist was classic.
He flicks it to Palmer as if to say, you do something, because I haven't got a fucking clue, mate. But how's Jackson this season, do you reckon?
Do you know what? Jackson, I think there was so much pressure on him because the Osman deal was going to happen. And let's be honest, if we listen to one of our club legends, John Obi Mikel, that deal was only done because they couldn't get the paperwork done in time, which tells you everything you need to know about how the board sort of fancy Jackson. I don't think they do, they don't think they back him too much. They're having to back him now because we couldn't get a signing in. But the thing with Jackson is he's got to miss chances. He does that. He did that last season. And his conversion stats actually, interestingly, this season are almost double what they were last season. So he's converting a lot more chances. That kind of tells you how many chances we're creating if he's missing double and still getting in that position. Yeah. But yeah, like I do think the movement that he does is exactly what we need. The balls in over the top are really exciting for Jackson. He'll get on the end of it. And if he has to stumble and fall over to get an assist, that's fine. I don't think it's the ultimate answer for Chelsea. And a lot of Chelsea fans actually still want Nkunku.
What about that? That's a signing that really must be frustrating, because you're just like, when is it going to happen for this guy?
The question with him is he a 9? That's the question.
But for Jackson stretches the play. I was watching Chelsea and I was like, you know what? The reason Palmer's getting so much space, so much time is because Jackson just runs. Mm-hmm. Every time he goes behind, there's a reason he gets so many chances. And I think that's the problem with Nkunku. Nkunku's an amazing player, but he wants to do very similar stuff to Palmer. He wants to drop in, receive the ball and turn out. Whereas I actually really rate Jackson, because the thing with Jackson, what was he, 32 million quid?
Yeah. Yeah, Pitts.
And I compare him to Nunes. I think of Darwin Nunes. I think they're quite similar players. Yeah. A lot of running, a lot of pressing, always go through on goal. Once they get through on goal, as Forrest Gump once said, it's like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get, right? Yeah. But ultimately, I think it helps the rest of the team. And for 30 million quid, you go, you know what? You could spend a lot worse money than a player who does that. And I think Nkunku's probably a better footballer than Jackson. But I think in terms of what Jackson gives that team, I don't think Palmer has the game he did on at the weekend if Jackson's not making those runs every single time you got the ball.
And
it's funny because, yeah.
Sorry, mate. As it stands, Chelsea, top 4. Obviously, they've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1, and are only 1 point behind Man City, 2 points off of Liverpool. The question I said at the start in jest was like, is this a title shot? But, you know, are they a lock for top 4? Are they in a title race? Where are we putting them right now?
I'll let the other lads answer this.
I'm going to say
biased.
Yeah, it's not a title race. I think the title race for me is Arsenal and Man City. I think Liverpool will be like there up until maybe February and fall away.
Why are we disregarding Liverpool?
Because I'll tell you why I'm disregarding them. Only because they've already lost at home this season to Nottingham Forest. Was it Nottingham Forest?
Yeah.
They lost at home to Nottingham Forest this season. For me, which is like under Klopp, they didn't lose at home for ages at Anfield. The fact you've already lost at home to this team, that means you got to go other places where maybe you would have took a point now and have to try and get 3 points, whether that's the Etihad or Emirates or wherever it happens to be. Like, I think it's too much for Arne Slot in his first season to go and really be in a title. I know the team's pretty much the same as it was under Klopp. It's still got the same sort of players, Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk, Salah. These are experienced title winning players, but I still think it's a new manager, a new regime. I think for Chelsea, top 4 has to be the ambition, and at a push, the top 3. But I can't see Chelsea being in a title race at all.
I think top 4. I said Chelsea top 4 before the start of the season. Mm-hmm. You've got enough quality. This is the thing. I think of him like a darts player, right? I don't think that, like, if you're throwing 3 darts, Chelsea aren't the best darts players in the world. Problem is, you got 100 darts and everyone else has only got 3 because you got so many players. There's enough talent in there. I think if you had Lavia in that midfield instead of Enzo, I think Lavia and Caicedo, I think he's up there, not far away from Rodri and Rice as one of the best DMs in the league. Seriously, mate, I rate him so high. Palmer's starting to look
maybe Rice, but not Rodri, bro. Rodri's in his own. I don't even put Rice in the same conversation personally, but
listen, we'll do another video on that. But seriously, I think Chelsea, there's so much quality there. I think the question is the defence. I like every single player in the defence. I just think as a unit, it's not working, and the goalkeeper's nuts. The goalkeeper's absolutely mental. So the problem is there's a lot of good teams around that part of the league. Like Newcastle, if they could get everyone on the pitch, they've got a decent starting 11. I think Spurs will be back up there. Villa are a really good team. So there's going to be a good race for that 4th spot. It's a season too early for them to be title contenders, but the next season, these are all young players. They're going to get better again. And you mentioned Osimhen. If you put a world-class number 9 at the top of that Chelsea team and a world-class keeper at the back, there's no reason they can't run with Arsenal and Liverpool and City.
But do you see enough, like, when you look at the players on the team sheet, and I'm looking at the team that started against Brighton, do you see enough, like, winning characters in that respect? So we see good footballers, talented, fantastic footballers like Caicedo, Cole Palmer. Like, we're naming these players. There's the talent's there. We know that. But when I look at the characters and the profiles of these players, I'm looking at them, I'm like, can you guys go a whole season, the marathon, 38 games, and deliver a title? Do you know what kind of discipline and maturity it takes to get to that level? I'm looking across the board. Who in that team is that guy, even just to lead that? You're going to say Cole Palmer at 22?
It's Palmer. No, but
nah, it's too early. 22 years old.
Craig, I hear what you're saying, yeah? Have you watched Palmer's interviews?
He don't give a fuck. He's so unbothered.
Exactly.
So unbothered.
No, but I'm serious.
About everything.
But that's why he's the guy.
He is the guy.
He's got that Hazard mentality. He's got that big player mentality. Like, he plays like he's 28. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, but then there's a difference between that and then just think, because he's grabbing the game by the horns by performing, by scoring and things like this. But I'm talking about when you're in the heat of the battle, like what happened with Arsenal and Man City last week, and you need people to cool people down. Do you know what I mean? Get people's mind back in the game. I don't look at Cole Palmer for those things. I don't think Cole Palmer's the type of guy that's going to go, yo, you relax, do this, dish out instructions, because he don't really give a fuck himself. He's there to score and just,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do what he needs to do.
That's what they lack at the back of the pitch. I think they lack that at the back of the pitch. And if I was Chelsea, that's what I'd be looking at in the next couple of transfer windows. A 28-year-old who's been around the block, who's won stuff, who can just run that defence, you can interchange Palmer and Colwill. Fofana and Colwill. Because I think that's what the defence lacks, is a leader.
Because Thiago Silva was that guy, but he's just too old. That's the problem. He was just a bit 40. Too old. If they had him if they had him 5-6 years earlier, he could have still been in there and doing that. But they need that character.
How much pressure do you want to put on Cole Palmer at his age? Like, he's already dragging you to success. Him having to organize people, worry about mentality of players, psychological stuff, organization. I just feel like let him play and let him stay empty-headed. Let him just be in the flow state and get someone else to worry about all of that shit, because the kid's got, you know, the world at his feet, you know what I mean? And I completely agree with Craig. Like, they're lacking that other character to do the other stuff. Like, I don't know, when Cristiano came through, there was multiple characters around him to worry about the game management, and you need that.
Yeah, and look, you know, let's be honest. When we were winning titles, we had captains all through the team. You know, you had the captain of Ivory Coast, you had the captain of Nigeria. You know, you had captains for England. You know, you had Petr Cech, who was the captain of the Czech
players
Republic.
who actually act like captains. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you get like Bruno Fernandes got an armband on him, but fuck me. You know what I mean?
And ultimately, you've hit the nail on the head here, because the defensive issue is the lazy take here, in that, we're going to concede a lot of goals, but to be honest with you, we're going to score a lot of goals. So, you know, you can blame the goalkeeper. I absolutely do. And I don't think that he's good enough, and I would replace him. And the defense in themselves, they need some solidity, but that also comes from midfield as well. But ultimately, they all do need to get better. But the fact, as I said earlier on, that Enzo is our captain and it isn't going to someone even as a vice when you're talking about Levi Colwill, the fact that Ben Chilwell isn't really even sniffing around the squad even, and he's our vice captain as well, and probably is the most experienced out of all of them, has won trophies, you know, wherever he's been, you know, it is concerning. And I do think ultimately, when we're talking about the big moments about potentially winning titles, that won't come this season. But
where's Reece James, Josh? Sorry.
Reece James is still injured, and
how long for, do you know?
Well, this is the thing, right? He's coming back slowly because he's never going to be like, he's just got constant injuries. They're bringing him back so he could be playing now. He is the guy, isn't he? If he would be the guy, wouldn't he? If that was he would be. But the fact is, I don't think any Chelsea fan, I don't think any of us can actually say that Reece James will be playing consistently for Chelsea with the injury record. I almost think a lot of Chelsea fans right now, we almost don't really think of him because we don't know if he's ever going to be able to play consistently on the pitch. So Reece James would absolutely be up there, and he is a leader, but not a natural leader.
Mate, he's done.
He's not a lateral leader, by the way, Reece James. So this is the thing, like, you know, but the question then is, can you get that over time? Like, can you grow into that? Can players, you know, improve the mentality and actually, and do that? Because they're all young guys. I don't think anyone at 22 is like a natural born leader that could do what they need to do in the Premier League. So perhaps that's something you can learn, but I agree with you.
I mean, Bellingham is at 21.
Yeah, he's a freak though, isn't he? He's a freak.
I think there's other examples. I think if you look at Fabregas when he was that age, he was very much a leader. Odegaard wasn't much older than that at Arsenal, and he took an armband and he looked like a leader straight away. I do think it's a personality thing. Like even like someone like Caicedo, who I think is an amazing player, he's too aggressive to be the leader of a team, you know? I think
also the players you picked have come from like Barcelona, Real Madrid, you know what I mean? They've been at massive clubs, they've been around those massive personalities, so it rubs off on them. So that when they come to a smaller club like Arsenal, you know, they can
he didn't buy.
He didn't buy. They didn't. And it's ironic because obviously Arsenal are a bigger club than Spurs. But
I know that.
But yeah, I'm just saying. Obviously, if you've been at clubs like Real Madrid and these clubs, you've been around it. Do you know what I mean? Fabregas is around Xavi and this as a youngster, and Odegaard's around all these big players. So I understand why these players come here and do that. I'm looking at the Chelsea team and I'm just like, there's so much vibes going on there. There's a lot of vibes. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of drill music being played. There's a lot of fun happening. And I just don't know, like, I don't know where title challenge comes into this with this team. Like, I just think right now they just got to ride the wave. They're doing really well. And top four should be on the cards.
That's what we're collectively agreeing. Top four is the goal minimum.
Yeah, minimum. It should be. What I love about this though, and we do have to have a brief moment on this, is like a lot of people wrote us off. A lot of people said that this system wasn't working. The boards were idiots. The recruitment guys didn't know what they were doing. And I do think I think a lot of people have to put their hands up now and say they were wrong. I do think there is something, you know, cooking here. I think you've all agreed in this video that there is.
Football can change quick.
It can change quick.
Can I counter you?
It can.
I like to counter you on that because I actually think that maybe some Chelsea fans need to apologise to the new manager because if I can flip it on you, right?
Yeah.
It looked a certain way, right? And when the Chelsea manager was selected and Poch was finally getting all the support, a lot of Chelsea fans were screaming, what the club's doing? They don't know what they're doing. The board got it right with this guy, potentially. I don't know if they did. The judgment is still ongoing. But maybe the Chelsea fans could do with apologising to the board, just saying.
Yeah. Well, I apologise on behalf of every Chelsea fan for that. Yeah.
I can think of one Chelsea fan who was very upset about Poch going. Joey,
I was. I have to put my hands up there. Like obviously, who would have thought sacking Pochettino at the end of last season was actually the right idea? Like, honestly.
And this is what's mad, right? Is Poch clearly, we're going back to the previous chat we had, but Poch outperformed Ten Hag in terms of the way he managed, in my opinion, and yet they sacked him because it wasn't good enough to their standards. And they found someone we hadn't really heard of, and boom, it changes the fortune. So sometimes when it's clearly not going wrong, you need to just act.
But also, Poch could have done what he's doing so far this season, though. He could have, because it was on that trajectory.
Can I just pump the brakes a little bit? We're 6 games in. You've played one big team and they beat you. Can we just pump the brakes a little bit?
Let's see what happens.
Look, we can all see the green shoots. Don't get me wrong, and there's been some good performances. Would any of you be shocked if they lost 3 games on the trot?
Yeah, I would. 3 on the trot, yeah. 3 on the trot, I would.
No, if they got 3 tough fixtures and just got slapped a few times.
Well, read out their fixtures.
Shocked.
You said their fixtures early. You said you got hard fixtures, Josh, but what are the fixtures? Read them out.
I'll pull it up now. 1 second. Yeah, it's to be honest with you, I know for sure that we've got Liverpool coming up.
No, I'm looking at
Forest at the weekend.
Forest is a win. You got Forest at home. That's a win.
Yeah.
Then you got Liverpool away. Yeah, Then you got Newcastle at home. Man United away. That's a win. Then you got Arsenal at home. That's not easy. Leicester, this is hard.
We're going to find out what the skis has made of here. In the next
Arsenal,
5 months.
Man United, Newcastle, and Liverpool. Yeah, that's.
And another thing,
find out.
Another thing that probably we aren't acknowledging, but when you're reliant on one player, the way they are right now, it's great to have a great footballer, but again, when he does have the odd off game, which he should be allowed to at his age, who else is going to step up? And that's another thing that these Chelsea players need to prove.
Do you know what's mad about that though? Is you're saying that, and I think you're all going to laugh at me what I'm about to say, but we've got João Felix on the bench.
I'm not going to laugh. I like João Felix.
We've got Nkunku on the bench.
We're still waiting on that though. I'm not saying that they can't play a good football. We know they're good footballers, but at Chelsea, they need to deliver in those games to help out Cole Palmer, and it's not all on him.
I think we'd be insulting Cole Palmer to say that either of those could slot in and do what he's doing, because they're both talented footballers. Neither of them have shown on a consistent level they can do anything we have to be really serious about what Palmer's doing. Those comparisons to the stats of players like Haaland, that's a joke. João Felix and Nkunku have never shown they can do that in the Premier League, in the most physical league in the world, to play in that position where Palmer's playing. Let's remember, by the way, this is one skinny looking kid. He hasn't got a chin, let alone a set of shoulders. And he's doing it against the biggest players in the world. Credit to him. What he's doing is seriously impressive. And I think you guys make a good point that, God forbid, because I don't want to see such a talented English player get injured, but God forbid if he missed a few games, that's a massive player to replace.